So to start us off, what is Moe? How did Moe get started?
It's the MSG of modern anime.
So
that's fantastic.
That's really good. So basically, I think a lot of people have a sense of what Moe means. It's one of those words that you learn from context more from than like reading the definition. But basically, there's been people who study this, like columnists who kind of go into depth with this. So John Oppliger is an anime columnist. And there were a lot of theories about the origin of the term moe. And the etymology is actually unknown. But some people theorize it originates from character names. So one is Tomoe from Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Hotaru Tomoe. And the kanji of moe comes from the kanji for to bud or to sprout. So it's like youth sort of thing.
And also possibly to burn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like burn with desire.
Your burning desire. So that brings us to the definition of anime. This is from Anime News Network. To be moe, a character can be eager or perky, not overly independent, and call forth a desire in the viewer to protect them and nurture them. The term is also used to describe any preciously cute item. There's an animal mascot character store in Tokyo called Moe.
A living sexualized puppy with the mind of a 3-year-old. Sometimes.
Yeah.
When you put it that way.
No, that's being too critical. I that's one way it's interpreted. There's much more. I'm just being a jerk.
Anime.
No, oh gosh, I don't want to alienate. No, I think there's keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, no, it's okay. Right here, I want to draw the distinction between moe and kawaii because I think those are terms that are often conflated. Moe, I think, from what I've gathered from the research I've done and from all the anime I've watched, is about the reaction the viewer is supposed to have. So a moe character is supposed to make you want to protect her. She is my child, but also my wife, and I don't know. It's like this weird combination of nurturing, protective instincts, and attraction.
Yeah. Do you know Princess Maker? It's a long-running game series in Japan about being like a single dad raising a daughter, an adopted daughter. And then at the end of the perfect Princess Maker scenario, she chooses a husband. And if you play it right, she chooses you. Moe is kind of a 5-second manifestation, I feel like, of that idea. That's one part of it. It mix in a little European courtly love. You think about the Lancelot's infatuation with Guinevere. I'm in love with you, but I can never touch you, but I must protect you, even though I barely know you. There's a lot of that tied into it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the your princess is in another castle sort of thing, wanting to protect her and save her, but also she's the object of your desire. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I don't want to put a judgment on that. But I do want to draw the distinction between moe and kawaii culture, because kawaii culture is often aimed at girls versus moe is in anime often directed at boys. I like some moe stuff, so it's not like only boys can like moe. But kawaii culture would be mascot characters, would be Hello Kitty is kawaii, not moe, right? Or something like that.
I think
Pikachu.
Basically
any
or
Pikachu
character. If you saw me and Miranda's desks.
Yeah. Although there can be a crossover between kawaii and moe to a point, but I think
exactly. So I want to. Some characters can be both. It's like a rectangles and squares sort of situation.
Nice.
Nice.
Metaphor.
I feel like the definition of moe is very fluid in that regard. You can't nail it down on just one thing.
Yeah, there's a degree of benevolent protectionism to it. Whether that benevolence stays benevolent is, what's the source of the benevolence? Because a lot of moe, I feel like, isn't earned. The idea, especially since it's become a way of selling something, moe kind of becomes, I joked about it being the MSG of anime, but a businessman looks and says, how can I get people instantly attached to a character? If I target this group of people with these physical and emotional personality characteristics that are already well established, I can develop a sense of protective affectionism without having to develop the character very far, without having to it doesn't take 12 episodes to fall in love with this person. It takes 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's the character design. Some people pick a wife. So sometimes I see people's if a new show is announced, people are already having the who's going to be best girl discussion based only on her character design, which I get because there's certain characters I like just because they think their character design's awesome. But I think that's one of those things is moe is a fluid definition, like you said, Megan, because it can apply to the character's personality, like if they're not very independent or if they're kind of like wooby, or it can be a certain character design, like the really big eyes, the puppy dog eyes look, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. And
this is a thesis I can't prove, but I feel like the development of Moe came along around the same time that JRPGs began to be more story-centric, particularly on console. And suddenly you had, a Moe character is kind of a perfect co-protagonist to orbit the player. It's a way of, in a game where you've got limited character space for writing or limited dialogue space for making you feel a close affection and care about what happens. Eris is kind of the perfect Moe character early on, because you're like, well, we love Eris. Well, yeah, but why?
Right.
Why do you love Eris? Because she's the flower girl and she's sweet. Okay, but why?
Yeah.
Can you name anything Eris did that made you like her?
Die.
That's an amazing pull quote.
I mean, what I meant by that is that everyone's always so like, oh, when she died, I cried so much. And I'm like,
I was sad when she died.
That was traumatic for me.
Oh, I know, but
I don't think she earned it. That's the part.
Saying.
Yeah, that's Moe. Moe got me.
Yeah, so that brings us to like some other examples, like K-On! Is an example of like a Moe show, like that whole show is Moe. Yuri Yuri, which I talked about many episodes back that I tried and was like, nah. Nichijo has a Moe style. Lucky Star is like a Moe parody. And then also, I really like this example because this Moe isn't just for it's not for female characters only.
Definitely not, yeah.
Talia, Access Powers, is an example of like a Moe boys show where like their designs and their personalities are kind of Moe-esque. And then I just for Jared, I think BB-8 from Star Wars is the most Moe non-anime character I've ever seen.
Agreed.
I love that observation. BB is just the moment. It's the happy little volleyball and its orange and little eyes and it's like
little thumbs up.
Little thumbs up.
And it's little beeps.
Like little beeps.
If you are not watching the video, which you can do on a lot of different places like the Xbox app, etc., you should see Jared's face because he is so delighted.
I love BB, and my wife Angie, like when she first saw BB-8, she grabbed me by the collar and went, "Star Wars is going to be so good because that droid is so cute." Like, and his eyes got like this big around. I mean,
we all love BB-8, even though BB-8 says nothing because it's very expressive.
Yeah.
Like I so admire the design of BB-8 because it's so expressive without saying any words. And I think sometimes like that's sort of what I was getting to with character designs in Moe is like that's not a bad thing that character designs can instantly make you love a character.
Ewoks are kind of Moe.
Yeah, Ewoks are pretty Moe.
Chibuki Yuki, absolutely.
I think R2 is a little Moe, but like
he's less though because
less Moe.
We made a video here at IGN about the. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Megan.
Oh no, what was the video?
We made a video here about the number of times that R2 has saved the day in the six first Star Wars movies,
right.
And they would all be dead so many times over if it weren't for R2-D2. Every human being in the Star Wars universe, I mean, from Darth Vader on down, owes their life to R2-D2. It's amazing. Yeah, and he saved them. Yeah. So he's a little more developed.
He's way too capable to be like super Moe. Like BB-8 is Moe.
So that's the thing. Like R2-D2 is smart, but remember the little black? It looks like a shoe buffer in the original Star Wars. That's like running around the Death Star.
The mouse bot. Yeah.
I think that's Moe.
He's kind of like, he's cute because he's memorable. Why did he earn that? Because he was a radio controlled car with a box on top, and he beeped real cute.
Yeah,
that's Moe. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just some examples for maybe if you haven't seen all of those anime I listed off, you probably have seen Force Awakens. If you haven't, it's very enjoyable. I think we pretty much covered some solid examples of what Moe characters are.
Here's one weird question I have for you about this. Okay, so we've talked about all the rest of it. Let's get to the dirty end of Moe for a second, because there is this element to it.
The
one thing about so I absolutely agree BB-8 is Moe, but I don't want to be in a romantic relationship with him. So Moe does sometimes have this inference of sexuality to a point, and there's a lot of debate in anime communities and among manga readers and in Japan and America both about just what the limits are of Moe and that emotional attachment, but oftentimes there's a clear sexual and or romantic connection. What about that part of it?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to what Megan's saying about the definition isn't... I think it's one of those things where like BB-8 is Moe without the sexual attraction, because I think some of it is just, I want to protect this character. I want this character to be okay. I think, what's her face? The one I didn't like very much in Gurren Lagann. I didn't like her at first. Nia. Nia starts out being like very moe because they're all like, we want to take care of Nia. And then Nia grows up and it's like, we want to take care of Nia.
So it's not intrinsic there. Then the love can be protectionist or even paternal, maternal, fraternal.
I think so. I think that when we think about moe shows in anime, a lot of them kind of include the sexual component because, and I guess we'll just do this now, as I think that is a really good way to market moe, because you're tapping into a certain demographic of people that obviously have, I mean, moe shows are pretty successful. I mean, you can sell figures of these characters because when someone has their favorite moe character, I want to protect her, I want to love her, and I want her to love me, whatever that is, you buy a figure. I have a Ferris Nyan Nyan figure for that reason.
Yeah. You have a figure. You might have a body pillow.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings it back around to what Jared was saying, which is there's a thought that maybe one of the root words of moe is to sprout or bud, and you'll notice a lot of these girls are just on the cusp of womanhood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're just making that transition. And I don't know, I go back and forth where sometimes it's just cute. I have my favorite moe girls, but other times in other shows push the sexuality a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's when I get a little uncomfortable.
That's where, is it about innocence or is it about vulnerability? Or is it about both, which might be the most disturbing of them all?
I think there's different like levels of moe, right? So there's the moe, I want to protect it, I want to care for it. There's the moe, like, I want to protect her because she's my girlfriend. And then there's like another thing where like she's innocent to a point of like disturbing vulnerability where it's like, she doesn't know better.
Yeah, there's
that part bugs me.
There's an interesting history with moe too, just throughout Japanese culture. It got me thinking of the tale of Genji, where Genji takes a young princess named Murasaki from her family at a very young age to raise her to be the perfect wife.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't do anything sexual for the first, 2 or 3 years, but it's that same thing. I want to love you and protect you, but you kind of have an eye on the future because she's a pretty little girl and she's going to turn into this beautiful, refined woman. And so he whisks off with her and puts her in his palace.
Yeah, and Genji's kind of the Don Juan of Japan. I mean, that's his role in Japanese storytelling, and it is to call it a different way of looking at the world is an understatement, but it is something that I think moe does tie into, and I'm not trying to inflame our audience with rage.
No, I don't judge anyone who likes moe at all.
Yeah, this is not.
But I think it's something that needs to be. It's part of the discussion. Let's put it that way.
I think it's worth assessing like what the different levels of moe are, because I think moe kind of encompasses a lot of different kind of subgenres of characters. Like before we started recording, we were talking about like tsundere is often moe, yandere can be moe, and it all kind of ties into the overarching like character archetype of someone who is sort of vulnerable, not too independent, cute, and you have some sort of connection, whether it's the impulse to protect or to do more things. Anyway,
you have a crush.
You have some sort of crush.
You have a crush. And I think that's something we enjoy. I mean, having crushes is fun.
Crushes are so fun.